What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Um, another no trade. Another no trade. Um, and I've just been sitting on my hands all week since Sunday night. I don't think there's been a time that since I've traded actually, except for like taking like months off, where I have not taken one trade in 3, 4, 5, 6 days, except for the time back in February after I blew my first funded account. I just stayed off the charts for a couple weeks. Then I got back on the charts to back test, right, until March 31st or March 30th, I believe, where I took my first trade after that long period, right? That's probably the longest time since then. Or now is the longest time since then that I have not taken a trade. But I think it's because I'm just being disciplined and I'm sticking with my rules, right? So, kind of looking at last night, right? Because I'm actually doing this video Friday after work. I was so tired last night. I didn't really want to do a video. I had been losing so much sleep throughout the week, and then work was also very taxing yesterday. Sometimes at work, I'm thrown into things that can be very demanding, and yesterday was definitely one of those days too. So I just said, just gonna watch basketball. I'm not gonna do a video. Um, and I'll just do a video today after work. So kind of coming back into yesterday, my zones are kind of off here, obviously, you can see, just because it's from last night, but I can actually redo it real quick too. But I guess the topic of conversation is changing my approach. Should I change my approach? Right? Because taking um one trade a week, I know some people do it, but I'm not one of those people. I like to trade throughout. Um, I like to trade throughout, right? I don't like to be that person where I'm like, oh, okay, I need to just take one trade a week or two trades a week. But I'm also very disciplined in that, in the sense that if I don't see my setup, I'm just not taking it. And all week, since Sunday night, I have not seen anything to say, okay, like let's take something, right? So looking back to last night, I had nothing. This is literally how it looked up until 11 o'clock, right? I always trade 8 p.m. Eastern until 11 o'clock, right? You can see this value area high and point of controls ending at 11 o'clock. And there was nothing. I thought I had something here, right? We had a break, came down, but then we had no significant volume, right? Oh, did I end it early? I think I did end it early. I ended it at 10. But we had no significant volume at all, at all, right? Throughout all of this. So 11 o'clock comes, I'm done, right? But then the next significant volume comes at 11:23. So maybe that would have triggered my setup. And actually, yes, it would have triggered my setup too. So I had to wait until 11:43 for me to get an entry, or 11:23 for me to get a signal, and then possible entry after that. I mean, it's kind of hard to say, okay, like I am entering, and I'm going to hold and I'm going to take this huge move, which again, I would have had to have waited until 1 a.m. to get that move up to prior day value area lows, right? But that would have been the resistance point, which you can see here, resistance, we break it a little bit, but we're hanging around. So that would have been up until this morning at 8:30 in the morning. So I'd have to wait till 1 a.m. and I'm not doing that, especially on lack of sleep, right? So I was thinking, I'm like, do I change my approach? And there's a guy who actually commented on my video from yesterday. Thank you for commenting anyway. By the way, if you're commenting on videos or watching the videos, I really do appreciate you a lot because, again, I'm just a small YouTube channel, trying to grow the channel, of course, but really just focused on trading and documenting the journey. So for me, saying, oh, please like and please subscribe, it's not really my thing because I'm really just trying to document the journey. But if you do like, if you do subscribe, if you do comment, I always do appreciate that a lot. So, but looking back on my previous video talking about engage in the trades that you want to engage with, Kieran Jindosh, I hope you're saying your name right. Um, he said that, hey, NQ did not have frequent volume in Asian session until Trump arrived, and I didn't know that. You know, this is the first time I've ever traded futures since November 2024, and that's all I've known is Trump, right? Obviously, Trump didn't get into office until January 2025, but he got elected in November, right? And that's actually that first week of trading futures on Top Step was that week of the election. So that's all I've known. So I always thought NQ always had decent volume, of course, for Asian session. The Asian session doesn't have much volume, but he said that it didn't have much volume until Trump arrived. But I think Trump can keep this volatility going for his full term, which is, I hope so. I really do hope so. I really need the volatility right now. Um, So he said, I wouldn't stress too much yet. It's only been a handful of days, but reviewing gold in the background is a good idea. Now, I've always heard about GJ trading gold, looking at gold and seeing how it moves, right? But I did a quick scan this morning before I went to work, or when I was at work actually, and I was like, man, I don't think I could trade this. It's pretty crazy, but it is something that I was looking at too. One of the things that I decided, I think it was actually on the week of losing. One of my weeks of losing is the fact that I just said, you know what? I am not trading anything besides MES or besides MNQ, right? I decided to trade MES one day and it didn't really work out for me. I didn't really like it. I tried it again another time. I also lost as well. I can't remember what day it was now. But it was earlier in May and I was like, you know what? I'm not trading MES. I don't feel good trading MES. I love MNQ, QQQ, NASDAQ. That's what I love. I'm going to stick with it, right? But I've also heard from other traders that it's good to have, in the Forex community, they say it's good to have multiple pairs in your bag. So that way, if you needed to, if one pair isn't really working out recently, you can always go to another one and you feel comfortable with that. So I think it's something that I might venture into, right? If this continues. And I think that's the key point too, is that as of right now, I have no worries about what I'm doing. Like sometimes you're only going to see your setup once a week or twice a week at times, right? And for myself, I don't really believe that this is something that will happen often. I don't believe it's something that um will continue to happen. Again, it depends on the volatility. So I think that's something we'll keep up. We'll keep up with and see if it changes or not, right? But the thing I love about my setup is that it happens every day. Obviously, it happened when I went to sleep, right? But if we look, let's look at today's session as well. I'll delete these lines, right? I don't know if it happened today or not. I have no idea. But most likely depending on the day. But most likely it does happen to an extent, right? So I trade volume profile. I put my fixed range volume profile from 9:30 all the way till 4, right? So here, did it really happen? It kind of did, but again, we're kind of talking about too, like what happened during the session, right? Usually during the day in the past, I don't trade during the day anymore. I'll look to come in around 1 o'clock, right? You set your volume profile zones, which is exactly what I would do here, you know, like that. We broke here. You see that? And I did not even look at this prior. That would be my zone. We broke here, form the N, right? We did have high volume here, right? So if I had taken that, right, would I have lost? And I actually do think that would have lost me the trade there because I think we bounced from here. So that probably would have lost, but I'd also be looking for reversals and around Pride Day point of control and all these other things. So it would have been one of those things where it's like, okay, I have to make a decision at that time, and that's where that discretion comes in, right? But that is the setup. That is the setup, you know? And it's something that I would say happens every day. Does it work out every time? Of course not, but it is something that does happen every day. Um, and it's something for me to be able to figure out and see, all right, do I look for gold? Do I look at MES again? Do I look for another, um, do I look for something else to trade? Or do I learn how to trade ranges, right? I think that's also another thing that I've been thinking about as well is, do I trade ranges? Do I learn how to trade a range? Most of the time, a market is in range for, I think it was like 77% of the time or 78% of the time. I can't remember the numbers, but most of the time the market is in a range. It's not breaking out, you know? So I have to be able to say, okay, maybe I need to learn something else. Now it's only been 1 week and this week has been crazy. Unemployment, non-farm payroll, Globex. I mean, so much news. Obviously, Trump with the tariffs as well. So I really do believe Asian session was kind of like consolidating for the moves that happened during New York. So we'll see next week, right? Another talking point that I have, just this is for me personally on my account. My rebill is coming up, and I'm not one of those people where I'm like, oh, like I need to rush. Um, so that way I can pass before rebuild. I really don't care about that. If I get rebuild, then I get rebuild. And I've been lucky that Top Step with these accounts, I had the new platform, the new dashboard, and they gave me 25% off for these accounts. So I bought 4 accounts while I already had the first one. So I had passed the first one, which is why I have that funded account, the one that I got my first payout from. But then I also have here too these 4 other combines, and this is based off of the new platform. So you can see the numbers are a little bit different, right? You have your practice account, but then you have the 50K TC V2 that shows that this is from the new dashboard. But then this funded account is from the old dashboard because I still have that one, right? So um, I have rebuild coming up on the 15th. I think we are about a few. Um, we're about a week away. Next week is Friday the 13th, and then I get billed on that Sunday. So my goal was to pass by that time, and I was hoping to make some good progress this week. But as you can see, only one day traded. But again, I don't really care if I don't pass by the 13th, then we get rebuild. Hopefully, we pass the week after that. Then I have to pay more money for the activation fees. It does tend to add up. But hopefully, if I continue to trade well, I don't need to buy another combine. I can keep these funded accounts. I can look to take $500 from each account for a payout. That's $2,500. That'd be amazing. Or we can take more than that, you know? Um, but we just have to be patient. It's just about being patient. So, yeah, guys, that's about it for this video. Just kind of my thoughts on, all right, we've only taken one day of trading throughout this whole week. Again, if you look at May, I traded pretty much almost every day, right? But when I started my 30-day challenge, May 19th, that night, right? I did skip out on some days. There were no trades those days as well. So is this going to be more of a thing with my discretion and being more disciplined on making sure that I take the proper setup? Or is it going to be one of those things where it's a one-off, where you have a week like this where it's like, okay, we had a lot of consolidation, a lot of news coming out during New York where Asian session just didn't want to move, you know? So I think time will tell and we'll see next week, end of next week, we'll probably do a review and be like, all right, we're back to normal, or hey, you know what? I got to start learning how to trade ranges, or I got to start learning how to trade gold or MES again, or whatever. And we'll kind of go from there. So, anyway, guys, that's it for this video. My girlfriend's making some French toast. Super excited for that. And Postecoglou was sacked. Very disappointed on that. Can't believe that. That was Daniel Levy. I just don't know what to say. Um, but yeah, I hope you guys have a great weekend, and then we'll come back to the market stronger next week. I'll see you guys later and keep trading stoically.